Now, I really want to get this point across because we've received some feedback, and I understand that this can be a little confusing when we talk about 5 agendas, but we're talking about 2 agendas in Leviticus 4 and 3 in Leviticus 16, and the 3 in Leviticus 16 are the first, second, third on that day, but they are the third, fourth, and fifth. So just for review, the first agenda in the type was individual forgiveness, and the second agenda in Leviticus 4 was corporate. So we have the first and second agenda. And as you know, the first agenda was the 2 individual categories, and the second agenda is the 2 corporate categories. The individual being the ruler and the common person, and the corporate being the ruler and the whole congregation. So we have 2 agendas in Leviticus 4, and with the antitype, those translate and point to Christ's first and second agenda, the individual forgiveness that he ministers for the individual to make reconciliation for the sins of the people, and the corporate repentance where the 7 churches come in, and that's the second agenda in the antitype. And for the Leviticus 16, we have the first, second, and third agendas, which the first on that day is the cleansing of the most holy place, and that's the first agenda in Leviticus 16. And then there's corporate cleansing, which was a cleansing of the holy place, and that's the second agenda on that day there in Leviticus 16. And the third agenda, individual cleansing, and that was the third agenda in that same chapter, and it was the cleansing at the altar in the court. Okay? But in the heavenly, it's Daniel 8:14, cleansing the heavenly sanctuary. The second agenda, which deals with corporate cleansing. Okay? And the third agenda, now, individual cleansing, our cleansing. Now, so when you take those first 2 in Leviticus 4, and you combine them with the last 3, they make up 5 agendas of that example and shadow of heavenly things, the sanctuary of atonements. And this is what corresponds to the heavenly and what we can understand about it. And so, from Leviticus 4 and 16, that service that was an example and shadow, we have the first agenda. Okay? Post-Calvary, and what the necessity of his once-for-all perfect sacrifice with his precious blood. The second agenda, corporate repentance. The third, the Day of Atonement, the cleansing of the most holy place. The fourth agenda, corporate cleansing. And the fifth. And so, it's revealing a final atonement. And so, the type is clearly revealing a final atonement, because on the Day of Atonements, commencing in that most holy place, not at the altar in the court, and being further carried out as the high priest works his way out, remember, of the most holy place, through the holy place towards the altar that is before the Lord in the court. The type reveals the antitypical. 5 agendas. 5 agendas in the type, 5 agendas in the antitype. The atonements of God in the heavenly sanctuary. Now, again, for review, let's make sure we get this. Leviticus 4, individual forgiveness. Okay? That first agenda, the daily ministration there in Leviticus 4, concerned the ruler, the common person, whether man or woman. Okay? The common person. Corporate repentance was the second agenda in that daily ministration, and it was for the high priest and the whole congregation. Those 2 corporate categories, and then there was the 2 Individual categories, the ruler and the common people. Okay? So, first agenda in the type, individual forgiveness. Second agenda, corporate repentance. Then the cleansing time in the final three agendas, which is in Leviticus 16, and the key that it gives. When he went into the most holy, that was the cleansing of the most holy place, the first agenda, on that Day of Atonement, in the type, the type Day of Atonement, there in Leviticus 16, ministered here, in the most holy place. Okay? The second agenda was for corporate cleansing, ministered here, at the altar of incense, as he works his way out from the most holy place to the holy place, and then to the court was the individual cleansing, and that's the Day of Atonement's third agenda, in the type, ministered here, where the blood of the bullock and the blood of the Lord's goat was mingled and placed on that altar. Okay? So, in Leviticus 4, two agendas. Individual forgiveness, corporate repentance. In Leviticus 16, that's the daily, this is the yearly. You have the first agenda, most holy place, cleansing of the sanctuary. The second agenda, in the holy place, for corporate cleansing. And the third agenda, at the altar in the court, for individual cleansing. And so, when we say 5 agendas, we're saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, counting the first 2 in Leviticus 4 and the 3 in Leviticus 16. So the first agenda becomes the third, antitypical Christ high priestly 5 agendas. So that becomes the third agenda, and antitypically the fourth agenda for corporate, and the fifth agenda right now concerning the individual. Me. You. Okay? And that's why we summarize them as 5 agendas, individual, corporate, with forgiveness for the individual, corporate repentance, and then the cleansing, reconciliation of the heavens, the Day of Atonement's first agenda, corporate cleansing, the Day of Atonement's second agenda, and then individual cleansing. 5 agendas. 2 in Leviticus, 3 in Leviticus 16, a total of 5 agendas. Okay? For the daily and for the yearly. Because remember, there was 2 agendas for individual and corporate, and that was for the ruler and the common person in Leviticus 4. Again, the ruler, the common person, the individual. But for corporate, there was the high priest and the whole congregation. 2 categories. Again, the high priest and the whole congregation. And the second agenda. 2 agendas. Individual, corporate. Leviticus 16, you had the cleansing of the most holy place. The third agenda. The fourth agenda. And the fifth agenda. Okay? He works his way out, not the other way around. 5 agendas. And I hope this is clear. I've tried to make it as clear as I can. So when we say 5 agendas for the YouTube channel, for the website, this is how you can share with somebody, do you know about Christ, the man and women's 5 agendas? And you can take them through just as simply as we've done. Draw it out on a piece of paper or whiteboard and show them Leviticus 4. There's 2 agendas. There was the corporate, the individual, 2 categories in each. In Leviticus 16, there was 3 agendas. 1, 2, 3. This is rock solid, and this doesn't change as he works his way out. But as we said earlier, with Leviticus 4 in that chapter presents the corporate first and then the individual, but not so with Christ's high priestly ministration. Because from the text that we've showed from Hebrews 2:17, and where the messages to the 7 churches come in, it's the individual category first for that third agenda, or the first agenda on the Day of Atonement. antitypically, and on through the second and third on that day, which is the fourth and fifth agendas, totaling 5. So what also is another interesting that's neat is in Leviticus 4, we have the word forgiven 4 times. So there's your memory hook. Where's the chapter? And it's an atonement of forgiveness, okay? And the memory hook for you is Leviticus 4, forgiven 4 times. Leviticus 16 has the word atonement 16 times. How perfect, right? The wonderful numberer set it up this way. He makes no mistakes. And there in Leviticus 4, there was the atonement resulting in forgiveness, but not cleansing. Not until the Day of Atonement and the type came along, which results in a cleansing. And so this is why we can't have everything finished at the cross. Elsewise, we lose out on this. The atonement resulting in our cleansing. Okay? And that's that chart explained. I hope this is helpful concerning Christ's high priestly ministration. Thank you for watching.